Hello, welcome to Monday Morning Matters live broadcast show brought to you by Magnicraft Consulting team, anchored by Niyi Dunmade, a certified church consultant with the Society for Church Consulting in the U.S. Here, each Monday of every week, we address important, relevant, and actionable topics of interest that will help you and your church grow healthier. And now, meet your host, Niyi Dunmade. Hello, welcome to Monday Morning Matters live broadcast show brought to you by Magnicraft Consulting team, anchored by Niyi Dunmade, a certified church consultant with the Society for Church Consulting in the U.S. Here, each Monday of every week, we address important, relevant, and actionable topics of interest that will help you and your church grow healthier.
All right, welcome to everyone. Thank you for hooking up with me on Monday Morning Matters. Monday Morning Matters. We have a network issue. If you are listening to me and watching me loud and clear, please let me know where you are so that I know that this streaming is getting to your phones, your smartphones, your tablets, your desktop. And then this Monday Morning Matters is a broadcast program that happens on Facebook every Monday. And I'm your host, Niyi Dunmade, and it's sponsored by Magnicraft Consulting. Magnicraft Consulting is a firm that champions and helps churches to grow healthier. And this is a framework at which we use to assess churches to know that they are healthy and they are able to be at their peak, so that they can be stronger and better in how they perform and function in this world that we are in. So my name is Niyi Dunmade. I'm the CEO of Magnicraft Consulting. I'm a certified church consultant. And I'm a certified church consultant with the Society for Church Consulting in the US. So feel free. I've been talking on an issue for the past 2 Mondays. And 2 Mondays, we've been having some good discussions on the 12 probing questions for your church. 12 probing questions for your church. I must tell you that in this lockdown, I've learned a lot in these 4 months. I'm telling you the kind of things, from podcasts, from blogs, from reading the internet. I've learned quite a lot of things from this lockdown personally. And whatever you have learned so far, you must be able to adapt, to evolve, to innovate, and change. Okay, be a continuous learner. To be on the cutting edge as a leader, you must be a continuous learner. And for you to be a continuous learner, you must make sure that there is always there's always room for you to question every assumption. Okay, the more assumption you question, the more you are going to grow. Question everything. The fact that you have been doing something like this since 1910 does not mean you should continue to do that thing in the year 2020. So the key to good decision making is proper questioning in such a way that it does not just let you know what you know so that you'll be popped off, but for you to understand what you know, because good decision making comes out from not what you know, but what you really understand. So today we're going to talk on the 12 probing questions for your church, and I've done the first 6 questions and I'll just run through them. Then we'll take 3 more today, and next Monday we'll do another 3 more next Monday. The first one was, is the church teaching based on the Bible? We talked that at length on first Monday. The second question, is the church a praying church? You see, the fact that you are a church worker, you need to know some of these questions so that you can be able to know that how well your church is doing. That's the second question, is your church a praying church? The third one, is your church driven by a great commission focus? That is what the church is it was instituted to do, is mandated to do, is existing to do, to reach out. Naturally, every church tends to be inward. So it is something that you have to be intentional about it, to do the great commandment and the great commission. That mindedness, that mindset must be there in all our churches? That's what? The third question, is the church driven by a Great Commission focus? Now, the fourth one, which I did last Monday, is the church reaching non-believers or unchurched. Okay? The reason why Jesus came is to save the lost. He was sent to the lost sheep of Israel. And I believe if the head is sent to the lost sheep, then the body also must reach out to the lost sheep. There's no point when the head of the church is all about the lost sheep and the body, our bride, is not going about the lost sheep. So that's the fourth question we had. The fifth question, is the church both locally and globally minded? Gone are the days where your light is only going to impact a local community. But right now, the age of technology, with what God wants to do in the world, because the gospel of this kingdom must be preached to every area of this world. So we need to make sure that our churches must both be locally minded and globally minded. So those are the 6 questions we had the last 2 Mondays. And today, we'll be doing 3 more questions. 3 more questions. And that will help us. See, God did not give us brains for us to become dummies. So we need to really get some good questions and make sure that we get good answers. You can only get good answers if we're able to do some probing good questions. Okay, so number 7. Is the church keeping the new members who join? That's the 7th question. Is the church keeping the new members who join? Okay, the first thing I want to say is that a church cannot grow unless there's some form of joining. A church cannot grow also except there's some form of invitation. Somebody is inviting someone and there's some of attraction. You are going to get souls. You are going to attract souls into your church. People are joining. Now, if your church is not keeping, one thing is, the main issue is not the joining, but the church must have a system, an assimilation system on processes in place to keep new believers. Retention is very key, and I've done quite a lot of trainings on church retention, because most of our pastors, they are always after church growth, but I must tell you, what makes church to grow is the retention. God is blessing you with souls, but you are not seeing it in the pews of your church. God is blessing us with souls, but we're not seeing it from your people who are attending your services online. So we need to look at how your capacity, because you can only retain what you have capacity for. So is your church having the system to keep new believers who join? Now, the true advice is that when people join, or for example, I have a convert and I bring them to church, you know how it feels for me to go out of my comfort to preach to somebody, and they come to church and the person is not being able to stay in church. So one thing is for you to win a soul, is another thing for the person to be plugged in and be engrafted into a church, a physical local church. So is the church keeping the new believers who join? Now that's something very technical that I don't want to just gloss it, but our churches need to look at their retention strategies. How do you get people to be stuck in your church? How do you get people to be committed and be involved? How do you get people to get engaged in your church so that you can be able to disciple them? If all these elements are not there, then you cannot disciple anybody. So people must stay in your church, people must join and be committed to your church, engaged with your church, before you can be able to disciple them. So the 7th question is, your church keeping the new believers who join your church? Number 8, I want to be fast right now. Are their leaders developed and committed to the church? Are their leaders? In the early church, you could see in Acts chapter 6, they had 12 disciples. They had 12 who became 12 apostles. And the 12 apostles, that structure was not able to take the magnitude of people or the disciples in Acts chapter 6, verse 1 to 7. So they had to solve a problem, because the widows were not ministered to in the daily ministration. Church is a daily affair. Church is a daily ministration. And the widows were not ministered to, but they had to raise up leaders, 7 deacons who were filled with Holy Spirit. In fact, the qualities are so vast. But the truth about it is that if the church was not in the position to develop, get them baptized, get them into Bible school, get them into discipleship training school, get them into ministerial training school, indoctrinate them, imbibe of good values and character into them. And because the truth about it is that if your church does not develop people and your church grows, then you cannot have coaching leaders, you cannot have disciples, you cannot have people who can take over caretaking in your church. Are their leaders developed and committed to the church? Now, I want to just give you a scenario. One pastor who is a pastor of 1,000 members, he cannot reach out to all these people, even if he's the best of an anointed. He cannot reach out personally because he's physically limited to 1,000 members. But if you have small groups and you have developed leaders in terms of 12 groups, and for a 1,000 member kind of church, you need a minimum of 80 small groups, or for which there are about 12 to 15 of them in each group. Now, almost 100 leaders for you to be able to withstand the structure, and that's the next question I'm going to go into. Develop when you develop leaders and you have a good structure, then you can be able to impact lives in the church. So it is very, very dangerous for a church to grow outward and not grow inward. That there must be that balance, that as you are growing, you are actually growing inwards. So are their leaders developed and committed? Somebody is coming, he's not filled with the Holy Ghost, he doesn't know where Genesis is in the Bible, he doesn't know where Philemon is in the Bible, but you are able to get the person through some series of discipleship, some series of ministerial training schools, some series of leadership courses, and the person is able to now begin to train others in your church. Now, the other one has to do with, does the church structure, I mentioned structure from leaders, does the church structure support future growth and action? Now, I can say that the pandemic is actually forcing our church to some specific kind of actions. And we need to understand if our church has the structure to support such future growth. Now, the truth about it is that my dear pastor, my dear church leader, your church is 100 today. Your church one day will be 500. Your church one day will be 1,000. Your church one day will be 10,000. And I want to tell you that the structure you have right now cannot project you into the structure in the future. And that's why sometimes when I want to advise some pastors, I always want to advise them to structure for future growth, structure for where you are going to, structure for the kind of scenario and the kind of situations you want to have in the future, the kinds of procedures and action processes that you want to have, the kind of strategies you want to have in the future. Does the church structure support future growth and actions? So those are the 3 questions I want to say today, and I want to wrap it up there so that next Monday we're going to have another 3 seconds and we're going to wrap up these 12 probing questions for your church. That's what I just did now, 12 probing questions for your church. I just went through the 9 questions. If you were not able to catch up, you can just replay this video, and then I'll be able to you'll be able to get some of the juice out of some of the things I was saying. All right. Thank you so much. This program is sponsored by Magnicraft Consulting, and of course, I'm your host in Monday Morning Matters. Please feel free to share this, to like my page and share some of this content with some church leaders and pastors. You have any question, reach out to me in any of the channels on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'll gladly take your questions and then reply to you in no time. All right. So I want to wrap it up here in Monday Morning Matters today, and I want to just thank you for listening to me. I've been having some technical issues, but I'm sure I'll be able to push some of these things through. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Niyi Dunmade. I'm the CEO of Magnicraft Consulting Limited. I'm a certified church consultant, and I'm also a certified church consultant with the Society for Church Consulting. I want to wrap it up here. Thank you for listening to me. God bless you. Till I see you next Monday, I want to wrap up all the remaining 3 of the 12 probing questions for your church. Thank you. God bless you. I see you again.